Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Click, listen, enjoy.
Keep listening to our weekly episodes to find out more.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Book Chat. I'm your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend. I hope that you're making the best of your weekend. I know they go by so fast, and that's why we need to make the best of them. To stretch them out as much as we can. Get as much as you can within those 2 days time, if you can, because it's like you get off work on Friday and Monday is here, when you wake up the next day seem like. But I hope that you are having a great day, and I don't want to keep you too long. I want to share with you today's message and then send you on your way. So if you're ready to get started, that's exactly what we're going to do. All right, so today's title is My Milkshake is Better Than Yours. And the topic is staying relevant in a competitive world. Are you familiar with the movie The Clumps? Yes? Well, I borrowed the title of this blog from a featured song by Kellis. And I don't know if everyone knows who she is. If you are, she came out like maybe in the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere along up in there. And then too, she married Nas, and Nas is he's a rapper or hip hop artist or whatever you want to call him. But anyway, she had a name for herself before she married him, but now she is a chef. And so she has a cooking show. So if you've never heard of that song before, or if you've never seen The Clumps before, okay, first of all, you want to see The Clumps. And then second of all, you want to look up Kellis and find that song. And so you'll know what I'm talking about. All right. But anyway, when I first heard this tune, I struggled to make sense of it. I was like, what in the world is she talking about? I didn't understand what she was referencing, but then something clicked and it all came together. I was like, oh, okay. So this song refers to being seductive or sensual energy to attract the opposite sex, and is something we can all identify with when trying to garner the attention of someone we are attracted to. So I was like, okay, I get it. It's like, I got something better to offer you over here than this person does. So you want to come over here. All right. So anyway, okay, well, this isn't quite what I'm talking about, but it skims the edges of the song as it relates to competitiveness and relevancy. All right, let me get that right. Okay. Much like this song suggests, sometimes we must use our best skills to obtain our goals and topple the competition. We are all aware if no one knows who you are or what you stand for, it's hard to compete, much less chart on the relevance scale. But don't worry, I'm here to aid you on this quest. Aren't you glad? All right. So first, you need something to pitch. I mean, what's the purpose of drawing attention if there isn't anything to offer potential takers? Who exactly are you targeting, and what are you trying to sell? This is where you develop a plan of action to connect you to your audience, because writing is what I do for a living. So I'll just use it as an example. However, you can place any occupation in this scenario. As a romance author, I face daily challenges with an ever-changing market and discovery, because it is populated with millions of other creative individuals. And my goal is to write something that is, one, refreshing, and two, tell a story that hasn't already been offered before. The trick is to stay inventive and compelling in a market saturated with talented artists. And how do I do this, you might ask? Well, it takes placing all your creativity where it counts. For example, before most couples buy their first home, they do a little comp work. They do this so they can gauge how much house they can get for their buck and it's based on location and previous sales in the area. Most of the time, the realtors have already done this. Once you tell them what you want, what you're looking for, the price range that you can afford, all of this. So this is what they do, and they look for resale value. So that's why the comp work is very, very necessary. It's very, very important to know, what you're buying into, and later on, if you make improvements or whatever, that you'll be able to sell it for the asking price, because property value does go up sometimes, and depending on location, it goes up a lot. So you want to make sure that you are a player in this market when it happens. Well, you can apply the same technique to selling books by studying the book market by genre. Romance, no matter what subgenre it falls under, is a huge seller. So are young adult and fantasy fiction. What you should do is find which niche better fits your skill. Now, I left out sci-fi, but fantasy sort of falls under that, so that's why I didn't list that one. But anyway, let's face it, you don't need to leave the comfort of your own home anymore to find something interesting to read. There are so many books available, and as a writer, I must separate myself from the crowd and stand out as an individual. That is very, very important. It's hard to get noticed if you blend. This isn't what you want to do when trying to outshine the competition. You've got to be on your A game. You have to bring something new and something different to the table. If you want to get noticed, you can't just write what everybody else is writing. I understand, as writers, and especially romance, we tell the same story. Boy meets girl, boy and girl fall in love, all of that. It's the same story. But how you deliver that story is the difference. How you tell, how you affect people while telling this story, it makes all the difference in the world, because people love to be entertained. And the best way to gain their attention is writing compelling and exciting stories. And not only this, but you need to advertise and promote your work. How do you think so many authors have topped the bestsellers list? Now, and it wasn't because they simply wrote a book and thought that was all they needed to do. It took getting their work in the right hands. It took some marketing and a lot of promotional ideas to make them become relevant and competitive. People need to know who you are and what you're trying to sell them. I can't not say that enough. There must be something unique to capture the attention of potential buyers, because everyone loves variety. But if all you have to offer them is a vanilla diet, trust me, they will pass every time. Nobody wants anything that's bland. You got to spice it up. You got to make sure that it's noticeable. It must be something that knocks them off their axis, shattering and defining, something so amazingly intriguing that they are glad you lured them to your nest. You got to be crafty. And I'm not telling you to be sneaky about it, but you got to be crafty. That's a different word than being sneaky. And in lay terms, you need more than just a good talking game to garner respect. That's important. And to me, that's the most important thing. You want to be respected as a writer. You want to be respected in whatever it is that you do, because when you're doing the very best that you can, you want to make sure that, that you're respected in this, because I think sometimes we get lost in that ideology that, that you can just do anything and people will accept it. And no, that's not true. First and foremost, more important to me than book sales is respect. I want to be respected as a writer. I want to be respected as an author. I don't want somebody reading my work and saying, oh, that was a piece of junk, and all this, that, and the other. But, if you put it out there like that, then that's what you're going to get back in return. So you need to make sure that what you put out is good, so what you get back will be even better, and don't ever lose sight of your goals. That means that you don't need to make sacrifices. When you're trying to put your best foot forward, when you're trying to put your best work out there, because you want to stay competitive. And one of the ways to stay competitive and relevant is making sure that what you're putting out there is pretty darn close to perfect, because people will nitpick you to death. They will fact check you to death. You just don't want to write about anything. You want to make sure that what you're writing about is detailed. And if they need to go and reference it, cross-reference it, then they're able to do that. And then you might say, well, okay, we're writers. We make stuff up all the time. That's very much true. But if you're putting things in it that is historical, because I do that quite a bit, if you put things in it that are relevant, things that people can relate to on a human level, things that can actually be, you can go to Google and Google it. If you talk about certain things, if you mention certain things, certain details, places or whatever, those things can definitely be cross-checked. So you want to make sure that you're right, that you're on your A game, and don't ever get too big for your britches to think that you don't have to go out and do a little bit of research. That's important. If you're going to write about any subject, and I don't care if you are making these things up as you go along, you still need to do some research, especially if you're talking about populations, if you're talking about statistics, anything dealing with that, you need to make sure that you got your facts straight, because people will call you on that. And so it's sort of hard to be respected, when you're putting things out there that are not accurate. So accuracy is also important for relevancy and being competitive. Now, to stay in the race, you need to come hard. You need to hit them from every angle. The art of seduction, it isn't just limited to a popular tune, but reality when it comes to staying relevant in a competitive world. All right, folks, that's all I have for you today. But before I let you go, I always got to shout out these URLs to make sure that you're staying on top of me as a writer, staying in touch with me. And so one way for me to make sure that you're doing that is to give you the resources to go out there and check me out. And folks, let me tell you, I see you're out there searching my pages on Facebook. I see you looking at it, you're viewing it. I've gained some new followers on Twitter. I've gained a couple on Facebook. You're looking at me out there on Instagram, and I just want to say thank you so very much for doing that. You're reading my blogs. I thank you for doing that as well, because that means the world to me. That means that the work that I am putting forth is being noticed, and I thank you so very much for that, and also for tuning in to the show. This is a milestone for me. This month is, because I'm on my 2 years now doing Book Chat with Author Vivian E. Moore, and I have evolved doing this show in so many different ways. It has strengthened me in ways that I can't even begin to tell you. But that's what it's all about: learning as you go, growing as you learn. And I've done all of those things. I've learned how to be a better blogger, because I'm just going to tell you, I was lazy about blogging. But then, I had to get it in my mind that blogging is writing. If I can sit down and write a 500-page novel, then I can definitely sit down and just write a few blurbs, a couple of pages, about whatever, And so, I've sort of mastered it, because I do it every week. I sit down and I write my script for the show, and usually it's no longer than 2 pages, but that's a lot. There are some blogs out there that are longer, but I just want to hold your attention just for a little while. I don't want to bore you to death, with all of these things that that really aren't necessary. I just want to tell you what I'm talking about and then get straight to the point. All right. So speaking of that, let's get to these URLs. Excuse me. So the first one, of course, is to my Spreaker account. And that one is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can also check me out on Facebook. That is https://www.facebook.com/Vivian Moore author. You can also follow me, like me, on Twitter. My Twitter handle is God's Property 46. You can also check me out on Instagram. That is https://Instagram.com/God's Property 51. I hope I'm not going too fast for you to write this down. And then, of course, my website is https://vivianmoore.wixsite. That's wixsite.com/author Vivian Moore. And you can also check me out on my blog, which is https://author Vivian E. Moore.blogsite.com. All right. You can also check out today's show on iTunes and iHeartRadio. And I won't give you out those long URLs. You can also go to Instagram and and just look at it. Look at the post. It has everything that I just given you and more out there if you want to go out there and take a look at it. All right, folks. So, of course, tomorrow is Sunday, worship day. I hope you're planning on going to church. I hope you're planning on taking someone with you. Take a family member, take a friend. By all means, take some children with you because they need to hear the word as well. And tell somebody that you love them because tomorrow is not promised. Today may be the only day you get to say that. I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
If you enjoyed today's show, please head over to iTunes, give us a rating, and leave a review.